Turn now back to the international issues of the day, including this concerning situation between India and Pakistan. Joining me from the Strategic Policy Institute is David Wroe. David, thanks for your time. How worried should we be about the India-Pakistan confrontation and the risk of this spiralling?
Yeah, just when the world needed another crisis, right? Look, it's never a good thing having two nuclear-armed arch rivals shooting at each other. That said, they have been here before multiple times. There is a template established that hopefully they can follow again. Before Narendra Modi came in as Indian leader, India used to be pretty hesitant about its responses to these sorts of things. Pakistan would threaten to go nuclear, and India would take that seriously. Narendra Modi came in 2014, said, "Bugger that! I'm going to call their bluff." 2016 and 2019, there were similar attacks to the one that just happened, or comparable attacks, and Narendra Modi responded forcefully. Sure enough, it didn't go nuclear. So the hope is that it'll follow that template again. Pakistan will find an inconsequential target to hit. If they're not satisfied already, the reports are that they may have shot down a plane or two on the Indian side. But Pakistan will be satisfied with that and everyone will calm down. That's the hope, but you never want to be... I mean, it's a scary situation.
Yeah, it is scary. And speaking of calming down, albeit from a very different scenario, Carney and Trump, their talks in the Oval Office, neighbours, but they get on a bit better than the other two we're talking about. But there have been some problems with the tariffs and the declarations of Canada being the 51st state, potentially.
Totally. Look, I think Mark Carney is shaping as a class act and one that others can learn from. Clearly, I mean, he's blessed with dry wit, which helps, and it's a good way to... He responds with dry wit to some of the more provocative Trump moments and some of the questions that he gets about Trump.
Which Trump likes as well.
Yeah, no, totally.
Enjoys.
And Trump loves winners, and Carney's a winner. Against odds, Trump sees a bit of that in himself. I mean, it's a useful question to think about who's another obvious winner against the odds that we can think of a bit closer to home. But Carney is, he's got nerves of steel. You don't run two central banks during difficult economic periods without having nerves of steel. And I think he's handling things really well. And I think, as I say, Albanese and others can learn a bit from the way that he's conducted himself.
Yeah, so the Prime Minister going to visit, and Mark Carney invited him to attend the G7 in Canada. We know that is happening next month. What we speculate is that the Prime Minister will probably want to attach a visit to the White House. It makes sense, but my understanding is that there has been nothing locked in that sense or even penciled in at this point around that trip. But you would think once the ministry's done, that the embassy and the government move pretty quickly in that direction.
Yep. So, I think it's right for Albanese to go to Jakarta first, signal that sort of that tradition that Australian prime ministers have tended to follow, that they're going to continue with their with their intended foreign policy. It's great that Albo has been invited to as a G7 plus country once again. I mean, the G7 represent stability among democratic countries that believe in a system of rules, of global rules. So that's great. Yes, hopefully he would include DC. You don't want to wait too long before you go to DC, so I would expect that he would be going pretty soon. And, it's a good chance for him to pursue a couple of things. One is obviously Australian national interests in terms of things like AUKUS. I mean, that's got to be very, very important part of the conversation, but also doing it from a sort of principles and rules-based position. Australia is genuinely a country that believes in things like rules-based trade. It's very much in our interests. And what we don't want is an every man for himself kind of approach with Trump, where every country goes to the Oval Office or Mar-a-Lago and starts saying, do what you can for me. So, yeah.
David Wroe from ASPI, thank you. Appreciate your time as always. Thank you.